welcome back to my channel. Today is Foundation Friday. Foundation is my favorite thing to test out. This is actually part 2. So a few days ago I uploaded a video of my full review of the new foundation from Dior. This is the Forever Skin Glow Foundation. I uploaded the video and then a few hours later I took it down, and I want to briefly explain why I took it down. One, the shade that I chose in that video, which I will get into all of that detail later on in the video, but the shade was wrong and it was a cool tone, which I didn't know because it actually said N on it. So typically when you see a foundation that says N, typically that means neutral, not cool tones. But anyway, so the shade that I chose was definitely off. The shade was preventing me from giving the best review I can, and I put everything I have into every video, and as that video was up, and nobody complained about it or anything like that, nobody said anything, but I watched it a few times and I just didn't feel good about it. I didn't feel like it was my best review. And when I'm reviewing something, I know that, there's so many of you out there that can't run down to Sephora and grab a sample of it, or you can't go to Nordstrom's to get a sample of a foundation. Your guys' trust in my opinion and judgment on any product that I review means everything to me. And I just didn't feel like it was my best work. Like, I didn't feel like it was the best review. I know I can do better. So I took the video down, and I took it down when it had about 500 views on it. And then many people were like, wait, what happened to the video? I'm very sorry to you guys. I realized at that moment that I needed to get the right shade and truly give this foundation the best review I possibly can. When I ordered the foundation, it wasn't available at a local Nordstrom's. After the video went up, I actually drove to Salt Lake City, which is about an hour from me on New Year's Day, and I picked up the right shade. And now, again, I don't think this is 100% the right shade. This is a decent enough shade where I can really review the foundation. My first review that I uploaded, I was only able to wear it for a day and a half. I know so many of you are waiting for me to give you guys my opinion on the foundation, so I kind of was like trying to rush, and I think that's another reason why I didn't feel good about the review. And I really wanted to give this foundation a really good test, and I didn't feel like I could do that with, one, the wrong shade, and two, I couldn't do that in a day and a half. So today we're gonna get into my full review on it. I know exactly how I feel about the foundation. I've done more research since the first video, and we're gonna get into all of it. So I'm very excited about it. So let's jump right into the video. On the Dior website, it says, Dior takes 24-hour complexion perfection to the next level with Dior Forever. Introducing the new Dior Forever Skin Glow Foundation with Dior's iconic long-wearing Forever formula. Now offered in a radiant finish, the complexion appears flawless and even, and the pores tighten from morning to night to reveal the skin's full sensuality. The fluid foundation instantly enhances the appearance of the skin and improves its quality day after day with a formula enriched within meticulously selected skincare ingredients. Also available in a velvet matte finish. So yes, when they introduced this foundation, they also introduced a new velvet matte formula. And if you guys want me to review that foundation, let me know in the comments down below. I have the original Forever, and I like this one because it's more of like a natural matte. I am definitely game to review that foundation, so if you guys want me to review it and maybe compare it to the original, let me know in the comments down below. This foundation is supposed to remain flawless for 24 hours. The skin will appear more plump and its texture tightened. The perfect water-oil balance delivers a naturally vibrant, shine-free glow. The skin is protected from exterior aggressors and UVA and UVB rays with SPF of 35. So that's the information on the foundation. There are 32 shades. Now it's weird because on the Dior website there's 32 shades. On the Sephora website there's only 24 shades. So I'm not exactly sure why that is. It's so new on the Sephora website. Maybe they're still kind of adding things to it. You do get one fluid ounce and it's $52. So I got mine from Nordstrom's, but like I said, it's now available at Sephora. I don't know if it's available in the stores at Sephora. Now, when I went to Nordstrom's to exchange my shade, my plan when I went to Nordstrom's was I was going to have a full conversation with the lady that works at the Dior counter. But when I got there on New Year's Day, they were not there, and the girl that was there helping me didn't work Dior, so she didn't really know anything about it. In fact, we couldn't find this foundation anywhere. And I was starting to panic because I'm like, oh my gosh, I've drove an hour down here to try to get this foundation shade right. I really got to get this video up because I took the other one down. I was starting to panic. But then right when I was getting ready to leave, I looked down and there was about 10 bottles inside the box, down kind of tucked underneath the counter, but you could still see it through the glass, but none of them, like they hadn't taken any of these out. So there was no samples. So that's another thing. I was not able to actually go through the shades because there was no samples out. It was so brand new to that particular Nordstrom's that they hadn't even gotten to the point where they had any displays out or any samples out. So I exchanged my shade, which my original shade was 3.5 neutral. Now, if you look at the description at the Sephora website, 3.5 neutral is described as light medium skin with cool undertones. Yeah, I don't know where the neutral came from. Like typically when you have a foundation that has an N, it's more of a neutral tone. If it's a cool tone, it says C. If it's a warm tone, it's a W. So I have several Dior foundations, and that's the one thing that I've struggled with the most is finding the right shade. What I went ahead and did was I just went ahead and got 4N. Now 4N is the exact same foundation shade that I have in the Forever Undercover foundation. This one is 40N, but 40N now means 4N because they've kind of revamped their entire shade situation. My recommendation when purchasing this foundation is to go to find it wherever it is locally and go there and shade match. That's going to be your best bet. But if you are unable to do that, I do not recommend you basing your foundation shade off the Nordstrom website or the Sephora website because I made that mistake. I picked my first shade from the Nordstrom website and I should have went to the actual Dior website and researched the shades from there because that's kind of where I think I went wrong in picking the wrong shade. So if you go to the Dior website, you will see that they have changed their shade system. They've added more shades, which is incredible. In this chart, it shows you what their old system was and what the new system would be. Let's just say, for example, in the Forever foundation, I was shade 40. So then you go over to the new foundation shade, which is right next to it, and it says 4N. So that would be the exact same color. And I definitely recommend looking at this chart. I recommend reading the full description of the shade that you think might match you. Read the description. I felt like 3.5N was a neutral shade, but it's not. It's a 3.5 neutral with cool undertones. So I don't recommend going based on the N. I don't recommend that. Make sure you read the full description. If you've tried this one and maybe the original Forever was maybe a little bit too matte or a little bit too cakey for your skin, then this probably might be the foundation for you because this one does give the skin a very healthy, beautiful, radiant glow. And I think that's what is so unique about the formulation. It's exactly what Dior was missing in their foundations. Okay, so here are the foundation shades of my shade range that I have within the Dior collection. So this top shade right here is the Backstage foundation in 3N. This one is the new one, the Dior Skin Glow foundation in 4N. This one is the Forever Undercover in 40N, which is the same thing as 4N now in the new system. This one right here is the original Forever foundation, and it is 40N, which is now the same as 4N. And then this shade right here is the Dior Air Flash in 400N. This 3N from Backstage doesn't look that much different compared to the 4Ns. So, you know, that's the thing about Dior. Their foundation shade range is really, really tough. Those of you guys that are new to my channel, let me give you guys a little bit of a description of what I look for in a foundation, just so that when I'm reviewing this, you know what I look for and what I like in a foundation, because I know that we all have different needs and wants in a foundation, and I want to give you guys a little bit of an insight as to what I look for. So I am 39 years old. I have hyperpigmentation, and right now I'm more on the dry side because it's so dry dry outside. Typically, I'm more normal during the rest of the year. I prefer a more glowier, dewier, radiant, natural looking foundation. And I also don't wear setting powders. I need my foundation to perform and be it because I'm not putting anything over top of it. I have hyperpigmentation, so I need a medium coverage. I have texture along here, so I definitely need the coverage to cover that up. But I also have to be careful because I do have adult acne and I don't want foundations to break me out. I'm still healing right here from a foundation that broke me out a couple weeks ago. So that's all the information on the foundation. Let's jump straight into the tutorial. I'm going to show you guys how I apply this foundation, and then I'm going to do a midday check-in, and I will come back later on this evening for all of my final thoughts. I've had plenty of time now to wear this, and I have a lot to say about the foundation. So I will see you guys later on tonight. Let's try this again. I got my right shade. Let's just hope. Put some of my Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched face base on just to kind of get my skin nice and hydrated. So I'm going to apply half this face with a brush and half the face with a sponge. So I'm going to, yeah, that's a way better shade. Holy smokes. Now this foundation says that it is medium buildable coverage, and I would say that's true, but when I tested it the last time, the best way for me to get the coverage was to kind of stamp it and stipple it into the skin. So if you want decent coverage with this, that's what I would do. Then I would go over the stippling marks with a sponge to make sure that it's nice and blended. And typically I do go a little bit darker with my foundations. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the brush marks with the sponge. But typically I will go a little bit darker when my shade because I can kind of lighten it up with a concealer. But I wear fake tan a lot, and so my face is always lighter than my neck and my skin anyway. It's always better for me to go a little bit darker than lighter. Maybe some of you out there can make it work with two pumps, but I can't. Like, I need the coverage, and I need to cover up my hyperpigmentation. You know, I have some texture and stuff like that, so like I actually use 4 to 5 pumps of this foundation, which is probably what I like about it the least. I don't like using that many pumps. However, if I love a foundation, I'm totally fine with doing that. But this looks so much better. Oh my gosh, look at that radiance. Like, it is so radiant on the skin. I'm looking at the monitor, and I've only been applying this for like 3 minutes. Sometimes it takes me a lot longer to kind of blend in my foundation, but this kind of just goes in and blends really fast. I love the way this looks on my skin. This looks so amazing. The other thing that I like about it automatically is that it dries down. So it's a little bit tacky, but it's set down. Like, you can feel that it's set down, but I still have that really beautiful radiant look to my skin. And this is beautiful. Okay, it is currently 9:08 in the morning, so I'm gonna go ahead and wear this for as long as I can. I'm probably gonna take it off around 10:30, 11 o'clock. I will see you guys in my first check-in. Okay, so I'm back for a midday check-in. I wanted to show you guys how this foundation looks. I am loving it so far. It's so radiant and so beautiful. Now that I have the right shade, I'm falling in love with this foundation. I'm so excited. So it's almost 5 o'clock, so what? It's been on for almost 8 hours now, and I love it. So far, I love it so much. Every time I look in the monitor, like, I love the way it looks right along this area, and my forehead is so radiant. It's not dewy. It's not like a wet radiant. It's just a very radiant foundation. I love it so much. I don't see anything that I don't like about this. So far, I don't see anything. In my last video, I lost some of my coverage along this area 12 hours later. Kind of do an extra layer along that line because I wanted to see if I could keep that coverage there. And tomorrow I'm going to continue to wear this and give it another full day wear test just to give you guys the best review I possibly can. So I went ahead and pulled you guys closer. So as you can see, this is where I built up the coverage just so that I wouldn't lose it, like later on tonight. But I think it looks really good. I really do. I think it looks very natural. It's not emphasizing my wrinkles. It's not emphasizing my pores. It's not emphasizing my wrinkly skin. And you can see that I have you know, some healing. You know, I had a breakout from a foundation that I reviewed 2 weeks ago, and I'm still trying to heal this up. And you can see that it looks pretty decent over a healing acne area, and I love it. So far, I love it. I think it looks so beautiful. But I want you guys to see just how beautiful the forehead looks. Oh, I'm obsessed. My skin just looks very healthy, very glowy, but it's not too much. You guys know that I love my Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. I love wearing this under foundation, but I don't know that I would wear these two together. I don't know if it'd be too much radiance. That was the one thing I didn't like about this, is this was too much radiance, and it just emphasized all of my texture and all of my, I just did not like the way it looked. So I'm curious to see if that would do the same thing with this underneath it. So I think, you know, maybe I'll do like a half and half type situation, but so far, this looks bomb. That is what I have for you guys today for this midday check-in. I'm gonna get off of here, and I will see you guys tomorrow night. Okay, everyone, I am back for my final thoughts on this foundation. I am so happy to finally be at the end of my review. Oh my gosh, I just feel like so much better about this video, 100%. It is currently 10:30 at night, so I've had this foundation on for, gosh, like, what, 13 hours now, and I have been wearing it for as long as I can the last 2 days. So I have a lot to say about it. I like this foundation. I actually really love it. In fact, I'm gonna go as far as to say this is probably my favorite foundation from Dior, and I really do love the Backstage foundation. This one was probably my favorite. I like the Undercover when I need that extra coverage, and I also love the Air Flash during like the humidity and stuff. Like I wore this when I was in Florida during the middle of the summer, and my foundation never budged, so it was fantastic. There's something about this Radiant foundation that just is perfect for me and what I look for in a foundation, because it's long wearing. I mean, my skin doesn't even look like I really have worn this foundation for several hours, let alone 13 hours. And it's long wearing, it's long lasting, it's not dewy, but you still get the radiance. And I think that's what this foundation was missing. I've had a few people ask me to compare these two. This is a new one from Laura Mercier. This is the Flawless Radiance Perfecting Foundation. They just launched this a couple weeks ago, and I actually did a full review on this. The thing that I didn't like about this one was it was too radiant. And so what it was doing was, it was kind of exaggerating all of my texture and like my creeping skin right around here, which is where I hold my age. As I've aged, this is where I hold it. So this was kind of exaggerating that area, and I like this foundation, but that was the drawback. But with this foundation now, this foundation is not too radiant. This one was too radiant. If I wanted to make this foundation work, I would put it all over like my face, like here, and do a different foundation here. But with this foundation, this one's not overly radiant. So I don't need to mix and match with other foundations. This one's the perfect radiant. It has the perfect amount of radiance where it doesn't slip and slide all over the face, because that's the thing about radiant foundations, is they slip and slide. This one sets down and it is long lasting. On a scale from 1 to 5, I think Dior killed it and nailed it with this foundation, and I'm gonna give it a 5. I really did. Now, in my last video that I ended up taking down, I gave it a 4 only because I had to use so many pumps to build up the coverage, and that's still true for me anyway. For me to make this foundation work, I have to use 4 pumps, and I don't like using 4 pumps to apply my foundation. I will do it if I love the foundation enough. I will just do it and not worry about it. This, for me, you know, I have texture right around here. I have some pretty good hyperpigmentation along my forehead, so I need that coverage. And if you can make 2 pumps work, that is awesome, and I'm very jealous, because I actually need 4 to 5 pumps to make it long lasting in those areas where I'm losing the coverage. In my last video, by the end of the night, I had lost quite a bit of my coverage right around this area. So what I did was, once I got my new shade, I did go over and put an extra layer of foundation right in that area, and I've not had that problem since. So this entire time I've reviewed it, the last 2 days, I have not had a problem with losing any of my coverage right here in this area. So definitely, this is a foundation that's nice because you can build it without it being cakey. I put 1 full coat on, and then I went on, you know, one time and kind of pounced it in with a beauty blender and maybe went in a little bit more just to make sure it was set down. And that's what's nice about this, is you can build it on top of it without it getting cakey and thick and weird. This is not a cakey foundation. This is one of those foundations that has the right formula, the right texture. Now, I know this formula does have alcohol in it, so just FYI for all of you out there that do not like alcohol, this formula does have alcohol in it. So just FYI. For skin types, I honestly feel like this foundation would probably work for all skin types. Dry, normal, oily, and combo. But the deal is, I think if you're oily skin or combination skin, I don't know that you're going to want the radiance, because most of my friends that I know who are oily, they don't like to be even more radiant. They don't like to have even more of a glowy look. They try to kind of get rid of that. They like more of a mattifying foundation, a long wear mattifying foundation that controls their oils. I do feel like this would control oils, but oily skin, you know, those of you that have oily skin, your skin is already naturally radiant. And sometimes you're trying to kind of do the opposite. Those of us who are dry and normal, we're trying to achieve the radiance. So even though I do think this foundation would work for all the skin types, I kind of feel like it would work for that person that's looking for a radiant foundation. And I don't always know that people who have oily skin are looking for a radiant foundation. I love this foundation, and I actually think this is going to be a part of my everyday rotation. I have a few foundations that I have my everyday rotation, and this is in that rotation. For those of you out there who are looking for that radiant skin, that want your foundation to last, you know, many, many hours. I mean, here I am 13 hours in and I'm looking pretty good. I don't even really look like I've worn this for maybe 5 or 6 hours. Then this is a phenomenal foundation. For me, this gets a hard 5. So I went ahead and pulled you in so that you guys could see. I'm definitely carrying the coverage better than I did before, because I doubled up and maybe tripled up around here, and so I really kept the coverage where I needed it. So I do recommend, if you have areas on your skin where you need more coverage, you can totally build on top of this and it will be fine. It will not look cakey. I mean, this doesn't look cakey at all, and it doesn't separate. Like, it hasn't separated and pulled apart on my skin. That's another thing with radiant foundation. Sometimes it will kind of separate and pull away from the skin, and this one has not done that at all. So I'm in love with this foundation. It is absolutely beautiful. I'm testing out and comparing 2 different concealers, and you can see the difference between my under eyes. So that concludes the video. Thank you guys so much for your patience in waiting for me to upload this video twice. I'm very sorry about that, but I feel so much better about this review, and I can leave it up on my channel knowing that it's definitely not the best review out there, but it's the best that I could do, and that's what matters. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you guys again for all the love that you guys show me in my channel. It truly means the world to me, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day filled with love, happiness, and joy. I will see you all tomorrow, and I love you all so much. Bye!